Hi, everybody. I'm Corinne Chronopoulos. I'm the director of the Peterborough Town Library, and it's so good to be live and say hi to all of you. I've never been live before on Facebook, so I'm a little nervous, but this is going to be a great show for all of you. I want to introduce Trisha Rose Burt. She's our host tonight. She's a writer and a performer who's lived in the area for over 20 years. She's a frequent guest storyteller with The Moth, and she's one of the hosts of the Blackfly Storytime series that happens right here in Peterborough. So thank you all for watching and spending part of your evening here with us tonight. We have a great show for you. Before we get started, I wanted to just take a chance to celebrate and say, wow, we did it. The library project is breaking ground on June 1st. It's been a long road. There's been a lot of careful planning and so many hours of preparation and volunteering. So I want to say thank you to the residents of Peterborough, to our library trustees, to our generous donors, the Friends of the Library, and of course to the 1833 Society, who has sort of managed this entire project. You're going to have a great time watching the talent from our community perform for you tonight. So without further ado, let's get this show started, and I'm going to hand it over to Trisha. Thanks, everyone.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first Library Home Companion. I'm Trisha Rose Burt. We're broadcasting to you live at the Peterborough Town Library. I'm at a very safe distance from the producing wizard, Bob Herring-Smith, who's become my new best friend in this room. We are so excited about our lineup tonight. We've got some unbelievable acts. Some are recorded, some are live, some are in the Zoom waiting room right now, even as we speak. We're scattered all over the Peterborough area. It's going to be a great show. I am going to ask everyone to give us some quarantine grace. Most of us are using technology, this kind of technology, for the first time in all sorts of ways that we never thought we'd have to use before. We should have a pretty seamless show, but bear with us if there's a couple of little hiccups. But like I said, we've got a fantastic lineup tonight. We're going to start out with our very own Bob Fellows, right? Bob was born in Manchester, but raised in Peterborough. And when he was 9 years old, he came to the Peterborough Town Library and he checked out of a book. And the book he checked out was The Old and New Magic by Henry Ridgely Evans, published in 1906. It was put in the Peterborough Library that exact same year, 1906, and fell into Bob's hands. And it made Bob become, it inspired Bob to become an internationally, I'm talking internationally recognized stage magician and illusionist. He's had a 50-year career being a magician. He's now a pastor, a public speaker, and a charity auctioneer. What he's going to do for us tonight is show us some incredible magic. He's going to kick off with a story telling us how he got to be where he is. Take it away, Bob.
As you can see, I like to collect books. I think my love for books began when I was 9 years old living in Peterborough. I checked out a book from the Peterborough Library on magic. Years later, when I was in my 20s living in Peterborough again, I went into the library and I looked at the magic books and I couldn't believe it. I found the book that I had checked out when I was 9. It was still there. So I went to the librarians and I said, I will give you 2 modern, brand new magic books better than this one if I can have this book, because you see, I checked it out when I was 9 years old. And they looked up the value and they said, yes, you can have the book. So I have the book, and in the back there's a card, and my name is written in pencil. Looks like I wrote it when I was a child, right next to December 16th, 1958. No one had checked the book out since 1963. It's a very old book. It was added to the Peterborough Town Library in 1906, and it has wonderful histories of magicians and a lot of pictures. And in the back there are 2 pages devoted to this new magician who looks very exciting, named Harry Houdini. This really imprinted images of magic on my mind, and later I became a magician. Now, in the 90s, I received a newsletter from a supplier of materials used by mind readers. Can you believe that mind readers need supplies? And I read, our good friend Fran Ferry is knocking them dead in Europe. He has taken several of our techniques and is making major bucks working for the 4- and 5-star hotels and restaurants. The name seemed familiar. Another day, I was looking at this book again, and I looked at the card, and sure enough, the last person to check this book out using the card was Fran Ferry in 1963. This book started 2 full-time careers in magic, and I have it. Would you like to see it, Fran? Okay, so you'd like to see a mystery right now. Remember which way the pen is pointing. Keep your eye on the point of the pen. That's weird. Try again. Now it's over here. Now really concentrate. Remember which way the pen is pointing. In fact, point your finger in the direction that the pen is pointing. You're right! But you didn't think you would be. When I push it through my hand, the point reverses again. Now you can clearly see me put the cap on the point of the pen. And yet, the point's over here. That is strange. Would you like to examine the pen? You can. You're going to see 2 videos. One is of the escape from a melt can. Now, Houdini performed the melt can for many years, and he was known for defying death in his performances. It's a locked can full of water. The locks are on the outside. Later, Houdini developed the water torture cell, and you're going to see a video of me performing Houdini's water torture cell, where I'm hanging upside down by my ankles, my head underwater, holding my breath. I could drown, I could die, but you know I'm going to make it this time.
I can't believe I'm asking.
I usually get my requests.
Top it off. Good.
Chris, you're pretty confident in this one. You're hoping?
No, he'll do it. He'll do it.
Okay. That's one down.
Okay. Go ahead and shut that curtain.
You folks at home holding your breath now.
We're at 1 minute and 55 seconds. Look at the officers.
Anybody still holding their breath?
Oh, God.
Holy moly.
The locks are still on. Take a bow. Take a bow. Wow.
The secret to Harry Houdini's water torture cell is known to only a dozen people in the entire world. American escape artist Bob Fellows is one of the very few performers to present the escape exactly as Houdini did it more than 70 years ago.
Hold on. Go.
Curtains up.
Go, go, go. We're at 35 seconds. 1 minute, raise the curtain. Back down, back down. One minute, 45 seconds. 1 minute, 55 seconds. 2 minutes, drop the curtain.
Hi, everybody. It's Corinne again. Bob Fellows, that was an amazing show. Thank you so much for sharing your library story and your awesome performance. But I want to tell our patrons and our viewers about another wonderful library service. We have an e-library. Right now, we don't have access to real books. We can't check out physical items to you, but we do have a marvelous e-library collection. You can stream films, download audiobooks, ebooks, take an online course, access Ancestry.com. We even have streaming music. So please check out our webpage, click on services, and then click on the e-library. All you need is your library card and an email address. And don't worry if you don't currently have a library card, simply email us or call us and we'll sign you up virtually. Find all that information at our website, peterboroughtownlibrary.org. And now I'm going to kick you back over to Trisha, our wonderful host, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you, Corinne. I'm still sort of getting over the whole Bob Fellows claustrophobic and that water torture thing going on there. So I'm glad our next act is a little bit easier on the heart. His name is Ken Sheldon. Many of us know him. He's fantastic and so funny. He's best known to most of us as the Yankee humorist Fred Marple and his fantastic comedy shows Frost Heaves. If you didn't see Yoga for Yankees, well, then you were one of 5 million people who did not see. I mean, 5 million people saw it. So if you didn't see it, then, you know, look it up because it's hysterical, Yoga for Yankees. But before Frost Heaves, he had a career as a children's entertainer, right? And he's going to do some of that for us now. He's got 3 songs. So if you've got any little people in your room, get them around you so they can see this. You see Ken perform. I've actually seen these songs too and was singing along with them. And I don't have kids and I just couldn't stand it. It was just so much fun to sing along. So here we have Ken Sheldon performing some fabulous songs for kids.
Hello, I'm happy to be here and grateful for our Peterborough Town Library. Here's a song about a foul move down on the farm. One fine morning on the farm, something had gone wrong. The farmer rushed into the yard and shouted in alarm. One of our chickens is missing, so we searched everywhere. He's in the bathroom down the hall. What's he doing in there? Well, it sounds like he's having lots of fun. He's been there for an hour, brushing his beak in the bathroom sink and singing in the shower. What's he singing? He's singing buck, 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 buck. Can you sing that with me? Buck, 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 buck. Buck, 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 buck. Now in chicken talk, that means, what a life for a chicken. Hey, this is really cool. I got hot and cold, running water, and my own little swimming pool. Buck, 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 buck. And that means there's another bathroom right next door and a window between the two. And another chicken that looks just like me and does everything I do. He's singing buck, 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 buck. Now I'm going to go back and sing the first verse again, and I need your help. When I get to the part that says, he's in the bathroom down the hall, I need you to shout out, what's he doing in there? And when I get to the part that says, singing in the shower, I need you to shout out, what's he singing? Don't worry, you can do this. I'll let you know when it's your time to come in. Okay, here we go. One fine morning on the farm, something had gone wrong. The farmer rushed into the yard and shouted in alarm. One of our chickens is missing, so we searched everywhere. Get ready. He's in the bathroom down the hall. What's he doing in there? Well, it sounds like he's having lots of fun. He's been there for an hour. Here we go. Brushing his beak in the bathroom sink and singing in the shower. What's he singing? He's singing buck, 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 everybody, buck, 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 buck. Here's a tune I wrote for a friend of mine who had a kind of a funny habit. Hello, carrots, pleased to meet you. Pretty soon I'm gonna eat you. But I thought that I'd say hi before we say goodbye, and you head on down the road, past my teeth and down my throat. But before you take that ride, you know I always like to talk to my food. Say how you doing before I do my chewing, 'cause it would be rude to just start eating without a little greeting. So I talk to my food. Try to appreciate the things on my dinner plate, even if it's shocking when people see me talking to my food. Hello, green beans, how's it going? Just this morning you were growing in the garden on a vine. Now you're on this dish of mine, heading on a little trip to my tummy and my ribs. But before I start in dining, hope it's not too surprising if I talk to my food. Have a little meeting with what I'll soon be eating, 'cause I conclude that it's polite before I take a bite to talk to my food. Even if it's silly to be chatting with my chili, and everyone is gawking when they see me talking to my food. Just a little conversation is the perfect preparation for a wonderful experience between me and my cereal. Shouldn't it be acceptable to make friends with my fruits and vegetables? Talk can be so interesting before I start digesting. Talk to my food, chatting with tomatoes and yakking with potatoes. I think that you'd be astounded at how my spinach sounded when I talk to my food. Share a little gossip with a friendly turnip. The neighbors are all squawking 'cause they see me talking to my food. Hello, ham, nice to see you again. And peas, so pleased to see you. French fries, what a surprise. We have so much to catch up on. I like to cook, but I didn't always know how to cook. In fact, there was a time when, for me, a home-cooked meal was anything that didn't begin with the noise beep, beep, beep. But even back then, there was one thing that I knew how to make, and it's my favorite thing in the whole world, and here's a song about it. I can't turn the oven on. I can't reach the toaster. I know how to use the microwave, but I'm not supposed to. So the only recipe I really know how to do is good old-fashioned ice cream soup. Ice cream soup, ice cream soup, how I love my ice cream soup. Mix it all together, stir it with a spoon. Good old ice cold ice cream soup. Now how do you make ice cream? First you take some ice cream, put put it in a dish, pour chocolate syrup all over it. Then you stir and stir and stir until you got a lovely goop. It's my favorite recipe, ice cream soup. Ice cream soup, ice cream soup. How I love my ice cream soup. Mix it all together, stir it with a spoon. Good old ice cold ice cream soup. My mother likes vanilla, my dad likes Rocky Road, my brother likes chocolate, and my sister Oreo. But I'm the only person in my whole family group who knows the secret recipe for ice cream soup. Ice cream soup, ice cream soup. How I love my ice cream soup. Mix it all together, stir it with a spoon. Good old ice cold ice cream soup. One scoop is orange, one scoop is green. One got the chocolate bits in between. But it doesn't really matter about the color or the name, cause by the time you get done stirring, it all looks the same. It's just ice cream soup, ice cream soup. How I love my ice cream soup. Mix it all together, stir it with a spoon. Good old ice cold ice cream soup. When you're all through, gotta slurp it all up. Gotta get the last drop from the bottom of the cup. Lick the bowl with your tongue, scrape it with a spoon, cause you can't waste none of that ice cream soup. No ice cream soup, ice cream soup. How I love my ice cream soup. Mix it all together, stir it with a spoon. Good old ice cold ice cream soup. Sing it with me. Ice cream soup, ice cream soup. How I love my ice cream soup. Mix it all together, stir it with a spoon. Good old ice cold ice cream soup. Good old ice cold ice cream soup. Good old ice cold ice cream soup. Slurp it up.
Yay, Ken! One of my favorite people. I think you may have only been able to hear Ken through some of it, not sing through the whole thing, but as long as you can hear Ken, everything is good. He's one of the most just entertaining folks I know. And now our next entertainer or actor is going to be the fabulous Jason Lambert, who also is really one of the most generous artists I know. He has been very helpful with me and work I've done. He's an amazing, amazing artist. He's a theater artist, a professional actor, a humanities teacher. All those lucky students at Conval get to have him. He's really, he's very well trained. I mean, he's from Yale. There he is. He's waving at his high, studied in Yale. He's done incredible work all over the country, and locally for us, he is a co-founder of the Firelight Theater Workshop. We are just incredibly blessed to have him in our area. Take it away, Jason.
Thank you, Tricia Rosebird. Thanks, Bob. Hi, everybody. I hope you are well and safe. Congratulations, library, everybody who's helped lead and support the work there and this groundbreaking project too. I'm going to share a story with you this evening that comes from a play by a good friend and collaborator, Brenda Withers, and it comes from a play called The Billingsgate Project. And just to set a little context, it's toward the end of the play, and the characters in the play have been working hard to try to find a way to tell the story of a bit of a challenge and natural and social tragedy that happened just off the coast of Wellfleet, Massachusetts, around the turn of the last century. It turned out that the Billingsgate Island, which is just off of Wellfleet, was sinking into the sea, and with it, the village needed to move, and eventually the island was gone by mid-century. And in the play, these characters are struggling to tell the story of that event and to tell it well. And it's the end of a day. The two characters who are in this scene probably have spent a little more time with each other than they wanted. And one of them is just thinking about the evening. And, well, I'll start. I should say, it is a bit of a spooky tale, so if you're under 10, you might want to grab a blanket or a pet or a sibling or a friend And if you are 10 or older, you might want to do the same. And if you're 10 or older, though, you should be careful to hold your tongues if you can. It's about a sea witch and the dark. You know, before there were stars, it was dark. Before there were stars, there were witches. And witches love the dark. Witches love the dark and the water, which is why witches loved it here. One witch in particular, Shael. Shael was already 600 years old when the first settlers settled in. The Nauset, the Wampanoag, the Punakanet. By the time the second set of settlers settled, the English, the French, the Finns, Shael was 700, not old for a witch, but not young, medium-aged. She was still growing. And like all growing things, she was very often very hungry. Witches will eat anything, eat turnip roots and rabbit hair and horse hooves with shoes still on, eat the insides out from rotten trees, the rust off sunken anchors. But their favorite thing to eat of all are the tips of human tongues. And in the late nights of those early days, Shael visited almost everyone. She'd slip in over your windowsill to watch you sleep, watch your mouth go slack and your jaw drop down just enough to sneak her sharp, scaly fingers between your dewy lips. And if your tongue was hidden, she'd reach in and steal your teeth, one by one, by one, by one, and swallow them before the main course, roll them down her throat like marbles. And then she'd pluck your tongue out, and you'd wake to see nothing but her silvery eyes, hear nothing but her feasting lips and mashing teeth, feel nothing but, oh, you'd feel your tongue gone. You'd feel the terrible pain of your demouthed tongue. You'd feel it hot and empty for the rest of your days. In the morning, you'd be found trying to speak and failing, and no one would quite know what happened to you. No one could even guess until it happened to them. And like I said, it happened to almost everyone. Once a month, the moon, so predictably fickle, would disappear, and Shael would crawl out from her swampy cave to swim the length of the shore. In and out of the foaming breakers, she'd revel in the lightless night, her salt-scabbed skin pressing against the wave, a middle-aged witch, blind and happy in the black, black sea, working up an appetite. Refreshed, ravenous, she'd steal from the ocean to the dunes, to the small wooden homes. With each new moon, Shael took more of the town, tongue after tongue after tongue, and worse, she took the spirit, she took the voice of the island's decent, terrorized people. Family by family, by friend, by foe, the village fell silent, save for 3 little children, 3 local sons whose tongues so far had been spared. And on moonless nights, these lonely travelers, survivors, orphans of an unholy harvest, would travel together to the edge of the bay and wait. They were terrified, of course, and tight-lipped and just 10 years old. They had no weapons, no plan, just a sacred, unspoken pact to guard what was left of their island. The boys would gaze out on these dark, darkest nights, unable to make out the difference between the water and the sky, the full earth and the missing moon, the shape of a wave, or of a whale, or of a witch. Night blind, they trained their ears on the shallows, Shells cracked underfoot, tides rushed in, then a sudden splash, a gull's cackle. Or was it a gull's? Was she coming? Was she coming? Was she here? Was it instinct or innocent habit that led the first of the island's sons to snatch a stone from the sand and release it? A flick of his wrist, his arm cast like a whip. The rock shot fast like a bullet over the water and into the night. The speed and spin caused it to ricochet, to skip and skip and skip. The sound of its hard skin skimming the fresh sea like wings against the wind, a bird beating against the wall. And the other boys followed suit. They all three threw with a violent elegance, rock, pebble. It became a kind of soothing game to pass the time, to purge their frustration. Of course, they were trying too to hit their witch, to take at least a piece out of Shael in turn for the piece she had taken from them. But of course, they missed her. They throwing blind, she being a witch and an above average swimmer. Their pebbles flew past her spiky back, her slithering tail. They skipped past the breakers, past Shael's cave, past where the sea grew deep and the waves were born. These tiny stones whipped like comets, shot all the way to the invisible horizon, shot through the horizon, through the coal-black sky, one after another, tearing tiny hot holes in the top of the world. All night long, the boys skipped stones, missed Shael, hit the sky, and the marks they left became pockets. And the warmth that shone through those pockets was light. Pins of light scattered across the whole of the sky. The boys could see what they had done, and so could Shael. Suddenly, they could all see faintly, see one another's faces. The boy's bare skin, the witch's deep green eyes, and the sharp sadness that had come over them. The holes in the sky were no moon, certainly, not bright, but beautiful, abundant, enough. These tiny tin cup torches lit up the night just enough to break Shael's cover, to turn the unseen predator into easy, irresistible prey. Never again would she be able to stalk the town in secret, never break through the ocean's surface without fear of being seen and tracked, tried, tormented by the colony of victims she'd created. She'd be the target now that there were holes in the sky, now that night was only almost black, save for the skip marks, the stone holes, the stars. The town never encountered the sea witch again, and the island became less and less quiet, and the night stayed dark, but light enough. Light enough. Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you. All right, then. Our next act is Gumboots. Many of you know of this band. They've been around for about 2 years. They're made up of musicians from the greater Boston and southern New Hampshire area, about 10 musicians in all who all have an affinity for Paul Simon. Tonight, we are blessed that Duncan Pelletier is going to represent the group and sing one of Paul Simon's hits, Gone at Last.
The night was black, the roads were icy, snow was falling, drifts were high. I was weak from my driving, so I stopped to rest for a while. I sat down at a truck stop. I was thinking about my past. I had long streak of that bad luck, but I'm praying it's gone at last. Gone at last. Gone at last. Gone at last. Gone on and let, go on and let, I had long streak of that bad luck, but I'm praying it's gone and let. I ain't done. I kicked around some, I don't fall too easily, but that boy looks so dejected, he just grabbed my sympathy. Sweet little soul, see what's your problem? Just tell me why you're so downcast. I had long, so look at that bad luck, but I'm praying it's gone at last. 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 I had long, so look at that bad luck, but I'm praying it's gone at last. Once in a while, from out of nowhere, you don't expect it, you're unprepared. Somebody will come, lift you higher, and your burdens will be shared. I do believe if I hadn't met you, I might still be sinking fast. I had long streak of that bad luck, but I'm praying it's gone at last. 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 I had long streak of that bad luck, but I'm praying it's gone at last. 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 I had long streak of that bad luck, but I'm praying it's gone at last.
Now, Corinne, yes? There we go. Thank you so much, Duncan. And here we go to Corinne with some more news about what the Peterborough Town Library can do for you.
Thanks so much, Trisha. Okay, so I have another library commercial for you. I want to tell you about all of our virtual programs. If you haven't heard, all of the programs that we regularly have in person are being held virtually. So if you would like to attend Storytime, we have a virtual Storytime. We're doing all of our book clubs using the Zoom platform. We also have a really unique bookbinding series that's running on live stream Facebook. And one of our patron service assistants is actually teaching you the basics of how we repair and bind books at the library and how you can incorporate some of those skills at home. So please stay tuned to the many wonderful virtual programs that we have. Just go to our website, peterboroughtownlibrary.org, click on the events, and see what we have. We have something for all ages, and we hope to see you soon. It's a way to keep learning and in whatever way we can connect with each other. Thanks, everybody. And now we're going to go back to the show.
Thank you, Corinne. So many programs here at the Peterborough Town Library that we hope you take advantage of. And now our next act is one of those international ones I was talking about. I mean, people, we are so lucky. It's Kieran Nagel and Tara Novak, right? You may have heard of the Three Irish Tenors. He was one of the founding members of the Three Irish Tenors. He lives right here in Peterborough, right? Okay, he used to be the lead singer of Riverdance, right? So, I mean, this is an amazing opportunity for us to get to hear him sing live with Tara Novak, right? She's the lead violinist with the Three Irish Tenors, and she also works for a group named Druid. They're just international, wonderful, talented Irish musicians. We were so excited to have them here live, and here we go.
Good. Well, this is us. It's Kieran Nagel and Tara Novak, and we're so thrilled to be part of this whole performance for everybody back at home. What an extraordinary time that we're all living through. I mean, it's hard to put any words onto what we're all experiencing right now. And we're going to sing a song which is called Isle of Hope, Isle of Tears. It's written by a great Irish composer by the name of Brendan Graham. And in it, he speaks of another time in history which was formative for the rest of the world, and particularly here in the United States. And that's the story of immigrants coming to build this country. And a story in particular in this song of a girl by the name of Annie Moore, by the age of 15, who has to pack up her bags and leave rural Ireland, jump on a boat and make that journey across the Atlantic into the unknown and into the promise of what the great United States might offer. She's the first person to cross over into Ellis Island, and if you go there, when everything lifts up and check the register, you see the name Annie Moore. This is Isle of Hope, Isle of Tears. On the first day of January, 1892, they opened Ellis Island and they let the people through. And the first to cross that threshold of that Isle of Hope and Tears was Annie Moore from Ireland, was all of 15 years. Isle of Hope, Isle of Tears, Isle of freedom, Isle of fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. That isle of hunger, Isle of fear, isle you'll never see again. But the Isle of Home is always on your mind. In a little bag she carried all her past and history, and her dreams for the future in the land of liberty. And the courage is the passport when your old world disappears, 'cause there's no future in the past when you're 15 years. Isle of hope, Isle of tears, Isle of freedom, Isle of fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. That isle of hunger, Isle of pain, isle you'll never see again. But the Isle of Home is always on your mind. When they closed down Ellis Island in 1943, 17 million people had come there for sanctuary. And in springtime when I came there and I stepped onto its piers, I thought of how it must have been when you're 15 years. Isle of hope, Isle of tears, Isle of freedom, Isle of fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. That Isle of hunger, Isle of pain, isle you'll never see again. But the Isle of Home is always on your mind. Isle of hope, Isle of tears, Isle of freedom, Isle of fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. An isle of hunger, Isle of pain, isle you'll never see again.
but the Isle of Home is always on your mind. Yes, the Isle of Home is always on your mind. Good night. Keep well. Keep safe.
Thank you so much for sharing your gifts with us. It's just amazing. Thank you. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce our next act, which features my favorite Irish immigrant, my husband, Eric Masterson, who is also known for his book, Bird Watching in New Hampshire, and also starring in a short film called Night Songs. He's a birder, as many of you know, and he also works at the Harris Center with the remarkable Susie Spickle, who's also going to be joining Eric. Susie's been a naturalist for 30 years. She's never met an animal that she hasn't liked. She's taught so many people over the years, and she does such a good job that she's won the New Hampshire's Environmental Educator Award. She's really amazing. Both of them work at the Harris Center that's in Hancock, which is a fabulous educational place for conservation. So take it away, Eric and Susie.
Hello.
Hi. So are we on?
Yes, we are on. Ready to roll.
Ready to roll. Okay, well, hello, everyone. So I'm Eric Masterson with the Harris Center, and this is my colleague, Susie Spickle. And I'm going to get the ball rolling here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do here at my home in Hancock, where I have been studying bird migration for the last almost 10 years now. So that's what I set up, and I record from dusk to dawn every night. And I just want to spend a couple of minutes telling you about, you know, when we get lemons, make lemonade, and we're at home. And so a great time, this is a fantastic time to learn a little bit more about bird migration, and especially the nocturnal aspect of it. So I'm just going to share with you I live in Hancock with my wife, and it's 3 acres of forest. And yet some remarkable critters fly over my house every spring and fall. And so I'm just going to run through that and hopefully pique your interest in this a little bit more. So that's the call note of a Virginia rail, which is not a forest bird, it's a marsh bird, a secretive marsh bird. That's it there. And I have them fairly regularly in spring and fall, not a forest bird at all. And a spotted sandpiper, which is a shorebird that nests in, these are all summer visitors, nests in New Hampshire along rocky stream sides. And another secretive bird of marshes, a green heron, fairly common over the house, a couple every spring and fall. And this guy is one of my favorites. These are very common over the house, although I rarely see them. It's a Swainson's thrush, and they're a long distance migrant. They winter in Central America in good numbers. Essentially, they vacate the entire state, and they fly all the way north to the spruce forests of the spruce and fir forests of Canada, Maine, and essentially Canada. And a very common bird at night. And that is a black-billed cuckoo. Again, hard to see. They're fairly retiring, and they're a forest bird, fairly shy, but a common bird at night. So let me go back for a second. So why I'm sharing these with you is that these are birds that are tough to see, and it's really hard to get a sense of what migration is all about. You look out the window in the morning, and you see the first oriole, and that's what we see of migration. We see the first appearance. and we don't really get the backstory. And so the backstory is, if you go out, there's a wonderful website that Cornell runs. It's called Birdcast, BIRDCAST. Just Google Birdcast, and it's essentially a forecasting system for bird migration. And birds migrate, depending on the time of year, obviously, but weather has a big impact. And so there are a bunch of variables, and they have a website. They process all the variables, and then they do a forecast. And it's pretty accurate. And so to be able to interact with this wonderful phenomenon that happens outside our house and your house, like I said, I live in an unremarkable, it's beautiful, but it's just 3 regular acres in Hancock. So it's happening over my house, it's happening over your house. And it's a really great way to interact with this wonderful phenomenon by checking in with Birdcast through the end of May, if you're interested, and then starting up again late August into September, early October, and checking on which are the good nights, and then just go out after dusk, half an hour after dusk, and just cup your ears to cup your hands to your ears and point your nose to the skies and just listen. And if you really want to get into the weeds, that's a white-throated sparrow, another common nocturnal migrant. And this next one, and it has a very, it's an unremarkable thin, short, thin call note. And the chipping sparrow has a short, thin call note. And you might think, there's no way you can tell those species apart at night. It's only 40, 50 milliseconds of sound. There's no way you can. But if you project the sound onto, using software, if you project the sound with the frequency and time, frequency on the y-axis, time on the x-axis, you can actually resolve identification to a remarkable level. But that's getting kind of esoteric, and I think the major thing I want you to take away is just the wonder of this. And so forget about the identification, forget about getting into the weeds, and I will leave you with this short 30-second snippet of a really big flight of Swainson's thrushes that went over the yard. And again, I live in Hancock, and these guys came all the way up from Central America, Guatemala, Mexico, who knows where, but just a wonderful thing to behold. And then we'll move on to Susie. Susie likes to keep her feet on the ground. Okay.
Wow, that was really cool, Eric. Well, Eric and I both work at the Harris Center, and we're kind of like, the Harris Center's like the click and clack of the animal world or nature world. We get a lot of people sending us photographs, or sometimes even calling up and saying, I heard this bird in our yard. And so we just picked a few from our files of photographs that people sent in and a sound clip, and I'm gonna talk about it. So this is a picture. This was actually taken in Peterborough. It's a pile of muskrats, and the person wants to know, what's this all about? Why are there so many muskrats right here this kind of April in a big pile? And I'll tell you that those are young muskrats. They were born last spring, and they've been living in their muskrat lodge with their mother and father, and now's the time that these muskrats are gonna get kicked out and have to go on their way. So they're getting ready to disperse, and maybe they're just having a little bit of sibling fun before they head off to their own corners of the world. And so if you're out and about in Peterborough or anywhere, keep your eyes open. You'll see some muskrats maybe out and about on the go. So Eric, what's next?
Okay.
Oh yeah, this is a big question we get almost every year. People want to know what's all that white foam that you see in streams, and you think, oh, it looks pretty gross. Is it pollution? That's a pretty common question we get, and I'm glad to tell you that it most likely isn't pollution. It is just foam that's formed from last fall when lots of the wetland plant leaves fell into the stream. They kind of stayed down there and started to decompose. And they have kind of like a fatty layer on them, or a lipid layer. And as they decompose, that lipid layer kind of becomes this frothy foam as it gets pushed down the stream, especially with spring runoff and rain. It kind of bubbles it up, and you'll see it kind of form in these big white piles. And if you're not sure if maybe it could be pollution, you can always smell it. If it's like detergent from somebody's laundry line that ended up in a stream, it will smell like perfumey. But this will just smell kind of organic, I guess you could say. And you might notice it will take on sort of a brown, it gets dirty looking. And that's because it's catching all the other debris that's coming down the stream from mud and sticks and leaves and sand, and even occasionally shedded insect skins. All right, Eric, I'm ready for the next one.
All right.
Oh, this is sad, yeah. Pardon me. I found a dead raccoon in the barn this morning. It had porcupine quills in its face. And if you do look, you can see those are porcupine quills in its face. And they're from a porcupine. That raccoon got into a porcupine. But this is not a good story, because for a raccoon to get into a porcupine, it means that something's not quite right with the raccoon. I've done a lot of studies on these, and what they found out is that the majority of raccoons that have porcupine quills in their face have often been infected with rabies. So I'm hoping this person didn't touch this raccoon. I'm ready for the next one.
Okay.
Oh, this is really a massive pile of scat by that rocky outcropping and some snipped evergreen branches. And those snipped evergreen branches are a key sign of this creature that left all this scat. Or you could say the scat is a key sign of it too. This is porcupine scat. And porcupines spend all winter kind of denned up in one spot. And they're kind of messy. They just leave piles of scat outside their den. And this can be for generations. You can actually find huge piles that have been left there year after year by different generations of porcupines. And they'll move eventually out from their winter home, like right around now, when the soft green grasses begin to come up, and they'll kind of move to their spring and summer grounds where they can eat those. So I'm doing pretty good, Eric, huh?
Okay, yeah.
So is this the last one?
That's one, okay.
Looking up at scat. Oh, I know. Play that again. Yeah, do that again. Wow, that is really interesting. I love that audio clip, and I love it when we get calls at the Harris Center about different sounds. And that is actually a porcupine, and it's probably maybe a young porcupine giving kind of a call. But do you know when that was recorded? Hold on, I have my own porcupine here.
That was about a week ago.
Yeah, that's that might be a territorial porcupine. Sorry, I do have my own porcupine in my house tonight. So that's a porcupine sound, and porcupines make a huge amounts of different sounds. And if you hear something in the woods that sounds like a lady screaming, it might be a porcupine. So if you have a natural history mystery that you want to share with the Harris Center, you can always send them to us through email. And we actually have a program coming up on April 30th. This is the third one we've done. It's a Zoom program called Ask a Naturalist, and that's where we kind of go over it. It's kind of like a cocktail party. It's happy hour. You come at 5:30, show up to your Zoom, and we have a panel of people who look at all the different things that people have sent in, and maybe we'll see some of you there. So Eric, pretty good, huh?
Yeah, and our website as well. If you check our website, more things to do at the front, at the homepage, there's a button, more things to do, and that leads into stuff that you can do now during this pandemic, including I'm doing a blog on nocturnal migration.
And I gotta just say, Eric's blog is great. It's so beautifully written, and he's got the recordings.
Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Yeah, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Okay, back to me. So I'm here with your final library commercial tonight. I want to tell you about our career and employment services. Do you have a resume that needs to be polished up? Or are you struggling with crafting that perfect cover letter? Maybe interviews make you nervous and you need a mock interview or someone to help you build your confidence. Wherever you are on the spectrum, if you need help with your beginning out journey for your career, or you're already a seasoned professional, we have all types of different career and employment services. Assistant Director Mary Hubbard and myself provide intake. We do interviews. We help people craft job searches and all of that. So please check out our website, peterboroughtownlibrary.org. Go under services and you'll see a webpage that's devoted to career and employment. And we would be glad to help you. So that's my last commercial of the night. I want to say thank you to all of the performers, all of the behind the scenes folks that are helping, to Trisha, and of course to our IT man. And I hope you enjoyed the end of the show. Thanks so much. Back to you, Trisha.
Thanks, Corinne. Everyone, make sure you use those resources that the library offers. So we're all ready. When this season ends, that we're set and we're ready to go. And the library can help you on that journey. Now it's my turn in the lineup of people who are going to contribute tonight. And in the true spirit of Prairie Home Companion, who this program was named after, I was going to read a radio essay. And I'll just start. Should I just start? Here we go. Okay. 4 years ago, my husband, Eric, walked out the front door of our New Hampshire home, got on his bicycle, and pedaled to South America. Researching his next book, he planned to follow the migratory path of 4 broad-winged hawks tagged with satellite transmitters. I planned to follow Eric, whom I tagged with a satellite transmitter, while working in Nashville for the 6 months and 6,000 miles his bike trek would take. Eric talked about taking the trip for 4 years, and for 4 years I tried to talk him out of it, steering him towards writing projects that kept him closer to home and to me. My husband is a scientist who thrives on data. I'm a storyteller who thrives on connection. Hugging is my default. But one day Eric said, "Trisha, I know you're worried about me dying on the road somewhere in Honduras, but if I don't do this, it will be death by 1,000 cuts." And I knew this logic. I understood it, having years ago left everything I knew to move to Ireland to become an artist. So off he went, my husband of nearly 20 years, now represented by a moving blue dot on a digital map. Instead of waking next to him in our usual tangle of legs and arms, we are spooners, I started my days checking my phone to see if he'd started writing. I then checked mid-morning to see how much progress he'd made. Then while I ate lunch, I checked to see if he'd stopped to grab a bite and wondered if he was alone or making friends. I checked 2 or 3 more times throughout the day to make sure the blue dot, also known as my husband, was still moving. Then in the evening, I waited for his text message, "Arrived at destination, all okay." We'd have a quick conversation on the phone, and then the next day, the dot checking started all over again. People would ask me where Eric was, and I would show them that glorious dot, his exact location, and then I give him a full itinerary, and I shared with him how I could track him on my phone and how I waited to hear "arrived at location, all okay," which was just one of several messages his GPS unit could send. The others were "send assistance" in case he broke his bike or something simple like a foot, and an SOS signal to be used only for life and death situations. If he pushed that button, helicopters would come and rescue him. I was relieved he had that option and nervous he needed it. As Eric traveled south, I sometimes got the message, "Arrived at destination, no cell service." So I stared at the blue dot while it rested in place. Then I'd go to sleep. At some point, Eric and I realized it was going to be impossible to meet in person until he came home. So we tried to FaceTime and Skype, since that worked more reliably than the phone for some reason. Sometimes the connection was perfectly clear, like the time we spoke while he soaked in a Guatemalan bathtub with a view of volcanoes, and I stood outside Whole Foods in Nashville with a bag of organic frozen dinners. But mostly he was pixelated, a single moving dot now replaced by a series of even more dots, and I grew accustomed to filling in the gaps of his face. We spent most of our conversations saying, "Can you hear me? Wait, you're breaking up." I was both grateful for technology and hated technology, and I was happy to know he was alive. But all I wanted to do was touch him. After 5 months of not seeing him, when people asked, "Where's Eric?" I'd say, "I don't know, somewhere in Nicaragua," in the same tone as if I'd say he's at the grocery store. Time and technology were taking their toll. I was tired of having a relationship with a dot and pixels. I wanted my husband back. And he finally came home. And as I rounded the corner in Manchester Airport, I wondered what we would say to each other. I wasn't even sure how to act. Then I saw him standing there, 30 pounds lighter and bearded, the blue dot replaced by soulful green eyes, and I ran to him. We just held each other and wept, the sweetest of reunions. I'm grateful this quarantine that I'm able to spoon with my husband each night as usual, but there are other loved ones I yearn for, like my mother. She's not riding her bike to Central America, but she's 89 with dodgy lungs, and she keeps going to the grocery store for an onion or a bottle of Drano. The stakes feel just as high. Our calls consist of, "Can you hear me? Wait, you're breaking up." And I'm grateful for technology, and I hate technology, and I'm happy to know she's alive. But all I want to do is touch her. As Mama says, though, this too shall pass, and soon all of us will have our own sweet reunions. Thank you so much for listening. And now we're going to have Adam Arnone, who is going to take us home. Adam is this amazing musician. He's recorded 13 albums. He's toured the country for 7 years straight. He was actually born and raised in Keene too, so he's a New Hampshire guy. And he's been recording music professionally for 20 years and just never turned back. He sings, he raps and he sings, and he's recently started producing. This is going to be an amazing way to wrap up our show, and then I'll come back after that and really close things up. But right now, Adam's going to take it away for us.
Hello, everybody from Quarantine Land. My name is Adam Arnone, and I am in a group called Adam and the Flood, and this is Stella from Stella and the Flood. So I am extremely famous, so famous that I have a driver. And how old are you? 9. 9? She's 9. And she's going to be my driver today, so you'll see her as we record this video. It's like when they do those videos of getting in the car and they drive around. We're going to do that exactly, except we're not going to be actually driving, or maybe we are, maybe we're not. That's for us to know and for you to try to figure out. I'm going to do a couple songs, 2 or 3, and we'll see. This song's called Cold. Eyes on the road. I'm pushing back on these old ways. I'm taking stock of these new days. I'm a new me. I'm a bullseye in a sea of all of these deadly strays. And I'm picking flowers from a yard that's not mine. And I'm holding pennies up to the moon, looking for that shine. Cause I know that the path is vibrant, but the same path is violent. Hard to get away from yourself and the voices won't be silent. And it's hard to dig on something so hard that you hit water. It's hard to dream of something bigger than the eyes of my daughter. Now I'm in a cold, deep puddle drowning. Regardless of how I calculate my tries, I'ma tread endless rather than say all of my selfish goodbyes. Less sin and the stress that I mess with. All these open sessions infested with half ideas and sour feelings. Digital problems, I'm still reeling on that analog and what we headed for, the falls and hands on fire, screaming how I'm gonna miss you all. But that trouble is, my trouble's not trouble enough, and I drag you down to see the best, but that best is never good enough to now. Well, I'm only cold when you're gone. Your voice can warm me through my bones. Well, I wanna reach you where you are. You need to know you're never alone. Well, I'm only cold when you're gone. Your voice can warm me through my bones. Well, I wanna reach you where you are. You need to know you're never alone. Except in quarantine. You're never alone. When you're in quarantine, we're all together in this. Cause it's usually the second verse when it all starts faking up, pushing through on the downbeat, then pushing through at the rocky bluffs. This space is dedicated, reserved for the atlas under my heart, to the walls that keep me in, to the smiles that tear me all apart. Then starting right now, I got a chance to feed my seeds. See, hold back the flood and hold back the rush and hold back the urge to split the seams. Well, these are new times and I'm looking for the words that ring true. And this is my sincere effort to reach all of you. Thank y'all very much. Here comes another one. Cut. Thumbs up. Again, make some noise to Stella for driving. You're doing a fantastic job. Take me to the bank. I would like to deposit $1 million trillion. Thank you. This is one more song. This one is called Upside Down. And we're going to try this last one and then see what happens. You can slow dance with the person you're quarantined with. Hey, I've been dreaming of a world gone sane, seeing my neighbors thrive through their window frames. Live from the TV comes the viewers all dressed from your dresser going down your sewer. Wide awake in a mess with a constant state of stress and a beauty competition of who is the best dressed. Not me, ever. Wide awake while the struggle is shining. You backed away from the focus cause the image is blinding. But this path is not binding, ready to be focused. Centuries of oppression view through the gun you've been holding. Well, I don't know why you think it's gonna do you any good. Hey, trying to stand up straight in the upside down. I'm trying to find my fate in the lost and found. Hey, I'm trying to stand up straight in the upside down. Hey, I'm trying to find my fate in the lost and found. Children as targets, the up and down of the markets, the self-driving cars become violent, the water's toxic. See, it's all news to me, all viewed from the ignorant, sewed into the flags tattooed on their constituents. Though, who do they represent? Not me. Maybe they are more than value, hey. And maybe life is more than your uppers, and I'm not ready to move, yeah. And maybe there's an end that we haven't seen yet. Time machine that reverses your clock and erase your debt. That's where I'm headed. This is an open invite, a chance to ignite whatever fire stuck in that windpipe. You've been ready to speak, but the static's always at 10. Hard to cut through the madness being the person you've been. I'm talking to myself cause I'm the one who stares at the door in the darkness of the room, waiting for something more. The end of the world come, the end of everything. Moratorium on hope until that big bang's banging again. With the old soul that you see from the young, wild and spirit sailing all our ideas straight to the sun. I'm trying to stand up straight in the upside down. Hey, I'm trying to find my fate in the lost and found. I'm trying to stand up straight in the upside down. I'm trying to find my fate in the lost and found. Hey, hey. Sometimes the words are back when they're over your head, and it's hard to see yourself when you've been hiding under your bed. It's hard to keep your chin high when your soul feels weak, hey. And it's hard to see the bottom, see the bottom when you're at your peak. In the upside down, upside down, upside down, hey. In the upside down, we're in the lost and found. And we all say, yeah, I'm trying to stand up straight in the upside down. I'm trying to find my fate in the lost and found. Hey, I'm trying to stand up straight in the upside down. My son is yelling at me. I'm trying to stand up straight and in the upside down. We're all upside down, upside down, upside down. Right? In the lost and found. In the lost and found. I hope you're all not upside down. Thank you guys very much for watching. You can go to it's 27ws.adamandtheflood.com on any of the social medias. Adam and the Flood on Instagram, Adam and the Flood on Facebook, Adam and the Flood on the U Faces, on the FaceTubes, whatever you can find.
We're at the bank.
We're at the bank? Thank you so much. Do you have my $1 trillion to deposit?
But you had it.
Ah, we gotta go back and get it. Thank you so much.
And that is our show. You know where you can find Adam He's told you his information. I think you can also find all the other artists that have been on the show tonight. If you look for them, we may have a slide somewhere that tells you where you can find them. But we're so grateful for all the artists that participated this evening. We're also grateful to the incredible technology team that we had, Bob Herring-Smith and Tim Brezovec, who just kind of leaped over all kinds of hurdles to make this thing happen. We want to thank the team behind this idea, which was Audrey Wright and Carolyn Huff and Susan Martin and Peggy von Valkenburg. Sorry about that, Peggy. And of course, the great director, Corinne. We really want to encourage everybody, use the library during this time. And if you have any needs, anything, if you're looking for financial needs or food needs or any kind of needs that this time is bringing for you, the resources are at the library. Go to the library. They can tell you where to go to have your needs met, to find some resources that may help you to get through this time and what happens afterwards. The library can help you in so many ways. So we want to thank everybody again for joining us. Use your library, stay strong, wash your hands, stay at home, and go to the library. You can still go to the library from your home. Just look at peterboroughtownlibrary.org and learn even more than you already know now. Thank you again for joining us. Bye-bye.